Best audition I've ever had, I think, was a general audition for Lifeline Theater because they're such a friendly and kind room. And I didn't know them at the time. It's like an aura they have around them. It's like, yeah, just a really good space to be in. I showed up, I did a monologue from Melancholy Play, which was a role that I loved doing. And then I sang I Could Have Danced All Night from My Fair Lady, which also it's a musical that's close to my heart. So it was just like comfortable material, comfortable space. And I think all those things added up to like a really nice feeling audition. Also that they were responsive and they like smiled and laughed at things, and yeah, that always feels really good because a lot of times even when people like what you're doing, they're just kind of like in the zone. I don't know, I've never sat on that side of the table, but I imagine they're like, oh, so many people to get through. It can just look kind of like closed off and like it shouldn't affect me, but it does.
The best audition I ever had, I think, was when I booked a weekend comedy, which I told you about with Cindy Williams. Because I walked in the room and the head of the agency was sitting there, and she has this little look on her face. You see sometimes, and when she has this little look on her face, you just know that she's really pleased that you're in the room, and she's prepped these people for you. So I walk in, and there's that look, and I'm like, okay, that's good. And then the director says, so I've heard about you. And I go, oh, is that a bad thing? And he said, no, it's good. I hear you saved the day at the Goodman. And I go, oh, yeah. So we chatted about that. And then I did the sides. And the role was just like me, right? It's one of these times where it just all fits into place. And I knew this guy, and I just did what I do. And it got done, and Richard goes, you know what I really liked about that? I've never had a director do that, right? This is like, he just goes, you know what I really liked about that? And he tells me this and tells me that. I just go out and hang in the lobby. So I go out and I hang in the lobby, and Becca comes out, and she says, so he wants to call you back. Can you come back tomorrow for callbacks? And I go, yeah. Only problem was we were leaving to go visit the kids that next day, so I had to call Sally to tell her we couldn't leave maybe right away. We're going to have to do a night drive. And then Becca comes back out and she goes, you know what? The scenes he's going to have you read with are with Cindy, and there's no sense in having, because she's not going to be here, so don't worry about it. Just go home and don't worry about it. So, the feeling then, of course, is, yeah, he thought better about it. I didn't get home, and my agency called me, and they had offered me the role. So that was the best audition I ever had.
The best audition I ever had, I'm not going to say the name of the project because, I'll tell you the story. So the best audition I ever had was for a project. It was for a lead role for an independent film. I am not necessarily what the industry considers a leading lady. Let's just say that. But honey, I was going in there with everything I had. So I read the script. I loved the script. You don't even get that often. I mean, I love the script. So I'm like, I'm going in here with everything that I have. And I went into that audition and I read it once. Director said that was really good. Writer was in the room as well. He wanted me to read it again. He gave me an adjustment. I read it again. And he told me one last time. He gave me another adjustment. And that last time, it's, I call it like a click. You kind of hear the click in the room when you clicked in. And everybody is clicked to you. I felt that. And afterwards, I looked up and the director was crying because I had nailed it. I mean, I nailed it. I felt it. I nailed it. And I left. And I remember saying, and I even posted it on Facebook, I remember saying, I nailed that audition, and I doubt I will get that role. And everybody said what they're supposed to say on Facebook. You're the best, Deanna. Oh, they love you, blah, blah, blah. But I am honest about what this industry is. I am a plus-size woman. I'm an African-American woman. Now, needless to say, they were looking for an African-American woman, but I'm a plus-size woman. Plus-size women don't get, historically, plus-size women don't get leading lady roles unless the script has something to do with their weight. Or unless somewhere along the line we talk about their weight. This is historically. I'm not saying it's never been done before. I'm just saying historically that's the case. And it is what it is. And until I get enough money where I can do it myself, then it's just what it is. And so when I left there, I said, I know I nailed that, but I probably won't get it. And I didn't. I got another role in the film. That's why I won't say the name of the film. And it's still a great film. But that's disheartening. That's a bit disheartening. But all I am responsible for is going in that room and doing the very best I can do. And that's what I did.
I think the best audition I ever had was I did this. It's probably because how I felt about it leading up to it. I only knew I had like 2 hours before I could go into this thing, and it's called it's like a 5-minute showcase. Like you do 5 minutes of the funniest crap that you can think of, character wise, whatever, satire wise, and you present it in front of this woman that is like the matriarch of IO Theater. I'm using like no pronouns right now, but it was like 2 years ago. It was before I was on a Herald team, and usually Herald team, they're the ones that can be in this audition, and I wasn't on anybody's kind of radar at all. But I was on the wait list, and so I got an email while I was at work that was like, hey, a slot opened up tonight. Do you want to do this? And I had kind of prepared a couple characters, but not necessarily had anything super like down. But I was just sitting there and like kind of freaking out a little, because it felt like this moment of like, I should do this, or no, I don't have anything. And then I just like visually saw the hashtag YOLO, and I was like, what? It was so dumb. To be such like a huge moment, it was the dumbest thing ever. But I was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I'll be there. And so I went, my friend Ashley England, she's just great. But she also like has directed stuff and whatever. So she came over to my apartment. We also were on Second City's house team together for a year, so we knew each other pretty well, and she'd seen a lot of my characters. And so we put together this 5 minutes, and I did it that night. And right afterwards, the woman who runs the theater, she came up to me and she was just like, I want to put you in like this final showcase of this. And I was like, I've never met you. What? This is crazy. But I think for me, what was super encouraging about that was I didn't have any time to like second guess myself. I didn't have any time to sit there and judge anything that I was gonna do, because I didn't have time for it. I had a couple hours. I had to just throw out what I thought was funny and what I wanted to do. And I think that was probably the best audition for me because of just that, is it felt like, yeah, I mean, like what I was saying earlier, is it felt like I'm being very honest with myself and what I think is funny. And I don't have room to like judge any of this, and to have feedback that was like objectively like, oh, what you like to do, what you think is funny, we also like that, was just really kind of a huge affirmation for me. So that was probably the best audition that I've done.
Okay, so here's one. There is a audition I had for a web series that never got made, but I was cast in it. Still waiting. But I was in for a character who was talking to another character, and this character all of a sudden like kisses me, and then I'm supposed to like react to it like completely either surprised or something. And I did this thing where I was like completely befuddled and made these weird noises. And the director, after he said like cut or they stopped the audition, he came up and he shook my hand because he thought it was so funny. So like I got a response out of somebody to where the point where they just had to shake my hand. That's pretty cool. So that was a good example of a great audition I had. But that web series doesn't exist.